An 8-year-old girl disappears from a homeless shelter in Washington, D.C. No body, no confession. The man last seen with her turns up dead, and somehow, it takes weeks before anyone even calls the police. This is the story of Relisha Rudd, a child who slipped through every crack the system had to offer in the capital of the United States. Today, I'm going to walk you through the days leading up to her disappearance, what investigators think happened, and the disturbing failures that made it possible. If you're interested in deep dive true crime and missing persons cases, consider subscribing. But first, let's start with where Relisha lived. When most people think of Washington, D.C., they picture the White House, the Capitol, cherry blossoms, power and politics. But just a few miles away, there's another Washington. Aging apartment buildings, overcrowded shelters, and families trying to survive on almost nothing. In the early 2010s, D.C. was in a housing crisis. Rents were up, affordable units were disappearing, and if you fell behind, you could end up at the city's main family homeless shelter, D.C. General. D.C. General used to be a hospital. By the time our story starts, it had been converted into a huge, rundown shelter. Hundreds of parents and kids shared long, dim hallways, tiny rooms, and communal bathrooms. This is where 8-year-old Relisha Rudd lived with her mother, Shamika Young, and her brothers. Their room was small, cramped, filled with bags and plastic bins. It wasn't really a home. It was a holding place, while they waited for something better that never quite came. People who knew Relisha described her as quiet and sweet, more mature than other kids her age. Growing up with instability will do that to you. She went to Payne Elementary School, but she missed a lot of days. Enough that social workers already knew her name and her family. There have been previous concerns about neglect and whether the kids were getting the care they needed. So from the beginning, you've got a vulnerable child, a stressed-out parent living in a shelter, and an overburdened system trying, and often failing, to keep up. Into that world walks a man who seems helpful, until he isn't. Inside D.C. General, one of the employees was a 51-year-old janitor named Khalil Tatum. To most residents, he was just Mr. Tatum, the maintenance guy. But to some of the kids, including Relisha, he became something more. Tatum started giving her little gifts, snacks, small toys, and eventually bigger things, like a pink tablet and new clothes. He took her out of the shelter on outings. Some people later said he was like a godfather figure to her. Here's the part that should make everyone pause. Khalil Tatum had a serious criminal record. We're talking robbery, weapons charges, a history of violence. And yet, in this overcrowded, chaotic shelter, he had easy access to families and their children. Background checks, supervision, communication, all of it was weak enough that nobody stepped in when he got close to an 8-year-old girl. By February 2014, Relisha's absences from school are starting to stack up, day after day. The school reaches out, like they're supposed to. They ask why she isn't coming to class. And that's when a story appears. Staff are told that Relisha is under the care of a Dr. Tatum, for serious medical issues. They even receive a note claiming to be from this doctor, explaining she's too sick to be in school. But there is no Dr. Tatum. The doctor they're hearing about is the same janitor from the shelter, Khalil Tatum, pretending to be a physician on the phone and on paper. The school accepts the note. No one calls a hospital or a clinic to confirm. No one demands to see actual medical records. While everyone thinks she's getting treatment, Relisha is actually spending more and more time alone with this man. One of the last confirmed sightings from Relisha comes from a Days Inn hotel in Northeast D.C. Security footage shows Tatum and Relisha walking down the hallway together. He looks calm. She looks quiet, almost withdrawn. What you don't see on that camera is her leaving with him. Around this time, late February into early March 2014, Relisha vanishes from normal routines. She isn't showing up at school. At the shelter, some people think she might be with relatives. At school, they believe the story about Dr. Tatum. There is no missing persons report, no Amber Alert, just a little girl who is quietly dropped off the radar. By mid-March, a school social worker finally says something is very wrong here. They push the issue with Child and Family Services, CFSA. CFSA tries to track down Relisha to see this supposed doctor to verify the story. Nothing lines up. 2 days later, on March 20th, 2014, things explode. Police go to a motel room registered to Khalil Tatum in Maryland. Inside, they find the body of his wife, Andrea Tatum. She's been shot in the head. Khalil is gone. Now, authorities realize they're dealing with far more than just a truancy case. They have a murder, an armed suspect on the run, and an 8-year-old girl last seen in his custody. That same day, they finally issue an Amber Alert for Relisha Rudd. Once the Amber Alert goes out, Relisha's face is suddenly everywhere. Local news, social media, flyers taped to light poles. Police retrace the timeline. Her last days at school, the fake calls from Dr. Tatum, the Days Inn surveillance video, sign-out records from the shelter. They search hotels, abandoned buildings, wooden areas and rivers. Tips pour in, but none lead to her. One area keeps drawing attention: Kenilworth Park and Aquatic Gardens, a large park in Northeast D.C., a place Tatum knew. On March 31st, 2014, search teams check a maintenance shed in that park. Inside, they find Khalil Tatum. He's dead from what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The prime suspect, and likely the only person who knew exactly what happened to Relisha, is now gone. Extensive searches of the park and nearby waterways turn up no trace of her. After the initial shock and searches, the city starts asking, how did this happen? Public hearings and investigations reveal a long list of failures. A shelter that allowed a man with a violent criminal record to work around families with little oversight. A school that accepted a fake doctor's note without even verifying it. An overloaded child welfare system already stretched thin. And a mother struggling with homelessness and her own history with the system. Relisha's mother, Shamika, faces intense criticism. People ask why she trusted a 51-year-old man from the shelter with so much access to her daughter and why she didn't report her missing sooner. She has said she saw Tatum as a kind of a godfather, someone helping with the kids, bringing them things she couldn't afford. Whatever you think of her decisions, one thing is clear: the adults and institutions around Relisha failed to protect her. In the years after her disappearance, D.C. shut down D.C. General and replaced it with smaller shelters. They tightened background checks and changed how schools respond when kids go missing from school. Those reforms might protect other children. For Relisha, they came too late. There is still no body, no definite answer. Many investigators believe she was killed, likely not long after those last sightings. Others wonder if she could have been trafficked before Tatum died. Officially, she is still a missing child. If you have any information, about the disappearance of Relisha Rudd, contact the Metropolitan Police Department of Washington, D.C. Her name is Relisha Rudd, and she deserves so much more than this. I'm Don Banks, and I want to thank you for taking the time to view this story. If you enjoyed this story, please hit like, share, and subscribe for more. As I grow my platform, I look forward to sharing more stories that are relevant to our lives and times. Thank you.